Hello, friends. I believe we are live. We are live. We are live. No, it is not Tuesday. No, it is not Thursday. And we are live. We are live. We are live because we had a bit of a snafu yesterday. Those of you that jumped on to these regularly scheduled lives did not get to see what we were bringing to the table today. So I decided to jump back in, to get back on the horse, and to bring you this content once again. This time, for those of you that may be familiar, this time without Prince. So what happened yesterday was Warner Music, shout out, sure. Warner Music, the big music conglomerate, blocked our video because we were playing a little bit of When Doves Cry by Prince. And then we attempted to upload it to YouTube, and some of you may be familiar with all of this interesting content, and it was blocked again. So I am jumping back on here without one of my favorite artists of all time, Prince. So we're just going to jump right in and talk about boundaries with family. So thank you so much for jumping on. Those of you that that are here, thank you so much. Jen, hello, Jen. Hope you're doing well, my friend. So we're going to talk about boundaries today, friends. Oh my goodness, yes. So again, my apologies for that snafu yesterday, and I'm so glad that you're here. So, what in the world? We always ask the question on these DLea DLayered segments, these episodes, we always are asking the question, why? Why are boundaries important? In this particular instance today, we're going to look at this framework through the idea of family. Family. Oh, and by the way, those of you that are watching live right now, please engage with us. We'd love to know you're here. Comment, ask questions, say amen, or I hear you. I always love to treat these moments as a conversation. So please give me a shout out. Tell me where you're from. Say hello, hello, hello. Family. Boy, we could talk about family for years and days and days and years, couldn't we? There is a very popular holiday coming up here in a couple of weeks, actually next weekend, not this weekend, but the next weekend, Memorial Day weekend here in the States, and traditionally is shared with friends and family, especially with things opening up. They are here in the Midwest as far as the decisions made based on COVID-19, that a lot of us will be spending time with more friends and family. And oftentimes when we spend time with family, it can be a challenge. Can not anybody have challenges when working and dealing with family? Your family of origin, extended family, spouse, children, and boundaries. We're going to jump in today, friends, and talk about boundaries. I'm going to share my screen, something that I don't normally do, but I felt like it was important to share some of this important boundary content from us here at Daring Deeply. To talk about boundaries. I am an enormously visual individual, and some of you may be that way too. So you love to see PowerPoint and slides and that type of thing, and we're going to entertain you with that today. So I feel like the first thing we need to do today is to identify what in the world is a boundary. What is a boundary? Some of us may have been exposed to the idea of relationship boundary. Some of us may not, or we have been on the other side of receiving a boundary from someone and it wasn't pleasant, or we've tried to establish a boundary with a family member and it didn't go so well. Or it has perhaps led to some dysfunction in family. This is super hard to navigate, right? Because we have some narratives that have been programmed or certainly given to us in our particular society, in all societies really, that family has a special place in our everyday lives. And I would agree with that. Family is super important. And I would invite us to be curious before critical today, and to invite us into some different perspectives on the presence of family in our lives. How much say, how much presence, right? How much influence, how much control that family has in our everyday decisions and lives. So thank you so much for jumping on here. We're going to jump in here. I'm going to share my screen and bring a definition of boundaries to us here. So bear with me for just a moment. I'm going to share my screen. Oh, music for me. All right. So I'm going to share my screen and allow you to see behind the scenes. Here we go. All right, friends. So here comes the screen. Here comes the screen. All right. So boundaries. Y'all can see my screen. We're going to illuminate here this definition. This is how I define boundaries, friends. Okay. Very simple. And I'm going to unpack this as well, so we are all very, very clear about this. So boundaries are my external expressions of my internal affirmations, illuminating what's truly valuable to me. I'm going to read that again. Boundaries are my important, right? That it's my, not our, not yours. Okay. My external expressions of my internal affirmations, illuminating what's truly valuable to me. So my external expression simply means a boundary becomes a boundary when it is expressed externally, away from me. It is said, perhaps it's a nonverbal expression, but a boundary does not become a boundary until it is expressed. I am a firm believer that the fact that boundaries do not become boundaries more often than not because they are held inside, and that we have this internal thermometer or barometer, as we call it here at Daring Deeply, an intuitive gut response to what feels good, what's appropriate, what's okay when family comes into our presence, and whether we say yes or no or maybe. And boundaries cover a lot of family dynamic. So we know truly, don't we, friends? Don't we? We know what feels right to us, what is truly valuable to ourselves. And oftentimes we keep it inside, don't we? We just, quote, take it because it's family. Interesting. So again, the external expression of my internal affirmation, meaning what's important to me inside my internal, I'm affirming what's so super truly valuable to me. And one of the first steps that we teach and coach here at Daring Deeply is to truly understand what is valuable to me. Oftentimes we don't know. We oftentimes have clients come into our retreat experiences, our workshops, et cetera, that claim, exclaim, and confess, maybe I don't even know what's important to me because I've been told perhaps by family members what's important. And I really haven't had the opportunity to extend my own autonomy and independence to understand what is important to me. That's a great first step. So we're going to move forward. I'm going to take you through a series of questions and see if boundaries represent something that is truly important to you and perhaps a challenge. So the first one is, do you feel like family members take advantage of you or use your emotions for their own gain? Anyone? 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 Yes, me too. All right. I'm just going to blow through these, friends, right? To give us a powerful framework, a foundation for us to understand, boundaries are important in order for us to live a healthy life and eventually disengage in a healthy way from perhaps some unhealthy attachments to our family. Next, do you feel like you're consistently having to save family members and called to fix their problems? Anyone else here, right? A recovering fixer, especially when it comes to family? Because they're family. Loyalty, because family comes first. We're going to touch on that in just a moment. Do you find yourself sucked into pointless fighting or debating regularly? Next, do you spend time defending yourself with family for things you believe aren't your fault? Any defensive postures around the Thanksgiving table, friends? Do family members assume they have special access to your decisions, relationships, and life? Do family members assume, right? Remember, we talk about this often on these lives. We know what assume means, right? Makes an ass out of you and me, okay? But do family members assume they have special access to your decisions, relationships, and life? And it's just, they do because they're family. I would also invite us to consider, are we on the other side of this? Do we have family members in which we assume that we have special VIP access into their lives because we're, quote, the brother, or dad, or mom, or sister, or grandma? Next, have you been told or believe that family comes first? Quote, family comes first. I would invite us to consider a different perspective today, to be open to it, to be curious before critical, as we say here at Daring Deeply. Have you been told and or believe that family comes first above all? Perhaps we will challenge that paradigm today. And lastly, are you unable to be yourself when around certain family members? Oh, I hear a lot about this when working with clients. All right. I'm just not able to be myself when I go home. Have you ever heard the adage, you can never go home? Oh, yeah. Are you unable to be yourself around certain family members? And it's so taxing. It's so challenging. Yeah, I get it. So let's move forward. So do any of these questions resonate with you? If they do, I invite you to continue to stay with us. All right. So, oops, there we go. Who comes first? Who comes first, friends? Right? If you're watching the screen, by the way, if you're watching this on hashtag replay, let us know. We love to have comments and questions, right? We'll address those. And by the way, these are going to be uploaded to our new YouTube channel. Just search Daring Deeply on YouTube and you will find our channel. Make sure you subscribe and ring the bell because then you'll know when all these new videos come to you, and there may be a particular topic that you would love to share with others. So who comes first? Who comes first when it talks about boundaries and family? This is when we may have a conflict, right? In what we have been taught, what we believe, right? That everyone else in our family comes first before us. Woo. So I'm going to reveal a little bit of diagram of concentric circles to illustrate what it means to establish healthy boundaries with family. Friends, you come first. Yep. See that little circle right there on the screen? You come first. You do. Okay. And no one, and I mean no one, is allowed to come within this boundary without your expressed consent. Important. Okay. Important. Especially family, who often assume that they have access to your life without your consent or assumed consent. This is important too. Okay. No one, and I mean no one, you come first. This also crashes into our societal paradigm that you putting yourself first is selfish. I would invite us to consider to challenge that paradigm and to say, no. Okay. You must come first. The beauty of that is when you put yourself first, when you care for yourself first, everything else around you becomes healthier. Your relationship, your financial security, right? Your children, your spouse, your partner, your job, your neighborhood, the world around you, if you put yourself first. Next, the first element of quote family. By the way, you are a family by yourself. If you are single, childless, okay? You are a family, by the way, and I acknowledge you. You are a family. The next level here is a spouse or partner, and no one, and I mean no one, is allowed to come within this boundary, okay? Most especially children, okay? As we know, the #1 divorce rate in season of life are empty nesters because they have devoted 20, 25, 30 years of their relationship to children, far more than needed. This is a challenge. Okay? So this is a family boundary. No one is allowed to go in that. Okay? And by the way, your spouse and partner is not allowed to go inside your circle, right? You must retain your autonomy as an individual first. I have made this mistake. I have been married and divorced twice, and I became enmeshed in both marriages to where I lost who I was. And really, we became this congealed entity in which we both lost our own individuality. And or allow the children to come into that as well, which then brings the children, right? If you do have children, right? Future children, okay? If you are a grandparent, right? This is still the order, all right, in which to establish boundaries with your family. The children are not allowed to come into that second circle, friends, without your expressed consent. Okay, this crashes into so much of what we've been taught. The children come first. I would challenge that and say, perhaps not. That our relationship, our partnership, our marriage comes first. My relationship comes first. I often get this question because we do work with a great deal of clients who are post-marriage, right? They've completed their marriage and now they're in the single world and they're dating. Like, what now, right? We have children, we have a partner. How do we navigate that? Fantastic question. I would invite you to come and submit that question here, right? Or if you would like a little bit more support, you can certainly find out how we support our clients one-on-one and in group situations, environments with Daring Deeply. Okay, so a little teaser there. All right. All right. So we're going to go ahead and fulfill the rest of this here. So we have extended family. There is family, friends. There is family right there. You see how far away that is from you? And then sometimes we allow the extended family to seep into our tiny little circle or our immediate family, right? Grandma comes over and takes over. Have you ever had that happen, right? Insists that the meatloaf has to be prepared a certain way. That's a boundary violation, okay? Right? If mom or uncle or grandfather insists that you do things the way, quote, the family has always done them, that is a boundary violation. Especially, most especially, if you have not given consent to those decisions. Taking a breath here. This is tough. This is difficult, right? And sometimes I would offer, right, and really encourage the fact that friends sometimes supersede extended family. Some of us have friends that are closer to us than our family, and that is absolutely okay. Some of this may crash into your paradigm. I would invite you again to be curious as we move forward. All right, friends. So where are you on this continuum, right? Are these circles dripping within each other, right? Are there no boundaries around your circle, right? Are family members allowed to just, quote, walk into your life and express exactly how you should do things? Do you allow your children to take over your life? That you're paying more attention to their calendar, their schedule, their activity than taking care of yourself? When was the last time you took care of yourself? When was the last time you went on a date by yourself? Right? Even if you are married, right? If you are married and have 7 children, it's important that you as an individual retain your autonomy. That's why you on this screen, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing here. It's so important that you retain that. So I'm going to get that screen off here. Boundaries with family. So super challenging. Let me move the screen here. So what questions do you have, friends? How are you doing with boundaries and your family? This is tough. This is incredibly difficult because oftentimes those of us who struggle with boundaries don't know what a boundary is, and it may feel like a wall. There's a vast difference between boundaries and walls, friends. We don't have the time here and now, right? But we do teach this content and coach our clients through the complexities of boundaries in deep, deep detail. So again, if you're more interested in knowing how we do that, let us know. What I will say here is that boundaries are like a picket fence. Imagine a picket fence, right? You can see through it. You could go over it, right? And you retain the key to the gate of that picket fence. A boundary, like a picket fence, allows the good to come and go and keeps the bad out. That is a boundary. Okay? A wall keeps everything out. We've probably experienced those who exhibit walls. Based on past experience, based on trauma, based on toxicity in relationships. We put walls up to keep others out. When we do that, though, we also prevent the potentiality of goodness to come in. That is the healthiness of a boundary. We work with clients every single day, friends, every single day. And boundaries is the number one, and it's not close. Number one relationship complexity. There is not one coaching call, not one conversation, not one group coaching call, not one retreat, not one workshop that we communicate with our clients without expressing something about boundaries. I would invite us to consider if we tackle and lean in and really work, do the work to understand what it means to externally express our internal affirmations, our lives can change dramatically, most notably with our family, which is what we're talking about today. So action steps, friends, as we near the end of this particular DLea DLayered, I invite you to be open to action steps, and here they are. I would encourage you to begin a list of knowing what's important to you in regards to family. Right? Do you want them calling? Do you want them coming over? Do you need to hear their opinions or their advice? Right? Do you feel violated that you don't have your own life, that part of the family is more important than your family, right? Whatever that family looks like. There is an ancient scripture in the Christian religion tradition that says to leave and cleave, to leave and cleave. Oh, I love this. What it's denoting is the fact that it's important that we understand that we leave our family of origin forever. Once we leave the home, we get married, we establish a family, go to college, get a job, that we leave them in one capacity forever. And it forever changes our dynamic. This is healthy. By the way, this is why it's so hard for in-laws to accept the new person. Because they're like, wait, we didn't do it that way. Wait, that's always my kid, right? And what that leave and cleave teaching exhibits to us is it's important to leave and then cleave to the new family, to the new life. It doesn't mean that we turn our backs or put up walls and say no more family. In fact, we establish the boundaries. Our relationship shifts and change and hopefully elevates to something more powerful than what was before. This is healthy, boundaried family relationships. So make a list of what's important to you. What are deal breakers? No different than so many of our clients who are in the dating world who make a list of what they want in a partner, right? It's no different than what you want out of your relationship with your family. What is the ideal? And then set that as a standard and settle for nothing less. Something to consider when you're making that list. Is this about me or my family? Sometimes we have family drama that we insert ourselves into because we're trying to fix them. Right? Is this about me and my family, or is it about me? What's important? What do I engage in when it comes to family dynamics? That is a boundary. Additionally, am I making a decision to please my family and leaving me out in the cold where my energy is being spent far more than what's going on in the family? Something to consider. Additionally, are my relationships within my family a win-win? As we like to teach here, and we have gathered so much of this content, and we honor, and a shout out to Justin Janowski and F2I in their coaching of us. Now we provide this idea too of win-win or no deal. All of our relationships, 99% of our relationships, we want to be housed in the idea of win-win or no deal. Both are winning parties, or the relationship shifts and changes and elevates to something different. Is it a win-win? It's important that a boundary, secondly, in our action steps, or thirdly, I should say, we remain consistent. Friends, a boundary is not a boundary if it is broken after the third time they ask. And then we finally capitulate, we give up because we're exhausted, and we finally say yes. That's not a boundary. We must remain consistent in our no or our yes, or insistent on what is important to us. Right? Because those that challenge our boundaries will continue to push. You know what I'm talking about, right? They will continue to push us until they get the answer that they want. Maybe not maliciously, right? But they are used to a particular dance in which you have danced for so long within the family dynamic. And now perhaps you are growing, you are transforming, you are elevating, and you're saying, I want more, and I don't want to be held back by my family. That can be terribly difficult to communicate. People's feelings can be hurt. Absolutely. And how do we navigate those? Again, this is what we do here at Daring Deeply, is help our clients to navigate these challenging waters. And lastly, we must outlast the outlasting, right? It's related to what we just talked about. Jim Fay, who is a child psychologist from years and years and years ago, wrote a groundbreaking book called Love and Logic. And it was really about parenting young children, ultimately establishing boundaries with young children. So when the child is screaming in the grocery cart and saying, I want this and I want that, and the parent, we've seen this, says, if you don't stop crying, we're going to leave. And if the parent never leaves, the child wins and the boundary is broken. We must outlast the outlasting. Establishing boundaries with family can feel like working with children, right? As we like to say here at Daring Deeply, sometimes someone, in fact, all the time, someone needs to be the adult. Yes, we may need to be the adult when dealing with our 50-year-old sister. This is tough. Again, we have so much more to offer to you potentially. If you're interested in knowing more about what we do here at Daring Deeply, send us a message. Let us know in the comments. We're more than happy to jump on a Zoom call and discuss potential opportunities to work with us and know more about boundaries. For us, the key to relationship health, Thank you so much for jumping on today. This special edition of DLea DLayered here on a Friday afternoon here in the Midwest. We are here every Tuesday and Thursday at noon Central, and additionally at 3 p.m. Central on Tuesdays with Paige Stewart, my partner in life and crime and relationships and daring deeply. Do you see that smile? It's Friday, it's the weekend. Yeah. Here we go. Celebrating my son, by the way, a little bit of background information, celebrating my son tomorrow as he's graduated high school. We're going to have a big bash here at the house. So we're super excited about that. And we'll be exhibiting boundaries with family tomorrow. So if there are family members that are watching this right now, you're like, oh, great, he's going to establish boundaries at a party. Yes, I am. Love you. And we establish boundaries to encourage health within our relationships. Thank you so much for jumping on, friends. If you have any questions, again, let us know. We can be found at daring-deeply.com, all over the socials. Please reach out to us and we'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye-bye.